This podcast is sponsored by nobody. Hey dudes, welcome to Splat from the Past, the only 80s themed horror sci-fi show where things can get totally radical. Now today, I will be welcoming back my good friend, Rachel Klahr, and she's going to interview me on my interest on belly buttons for National Bellybutton Day, which is June 24th, and that's today, June 24th. She's going to ask me questions like, who are my favorite celebrity belly buttons, how did my fascination begin, stuff like that. We're going to have a short conversation about it because she's on a time limit. It'll probably be the shortest conversation we've ever had. I mean, our first conversation when we were doing the tribute to her dad, that was like 40 minutes or so, and we hit it off. But like, this will be a short conversation about belly buttons, and I'm so excited. I cannot wait. Also, rest in peace, Mick Ralphs, the guitarist for Mott the Hoople and Bad Company. God, I saw them live back in 2016. I saw Bad Company, Joe Walsh opening at the Concord Pavilion in the Bay Area, and they sounded great. Mick sounded great, but he's gone now, and that's a sad, sad loss to 70s hard rock. Also, rest in peace, legendary teen idol Bobby Sherman, Marge Simpson's teen crush. That's all I know him as. I can't tell you a single Bobby Sherman song. Maybe later I'll go listen to some Bobby Sherman songs on YouTube or whatever, because I don't really know his music. I just know him as a crush to Marge Simpson, which was mentioned on an episode back in the 90s of The Simpsons. So yeah, here is my new interview with Rachel Klahr. National Bellybutton Day and Month exclusive. Hey Rachel, welcome back. How are you, love?
I'm good. How are you, Tommy?
I am ready to get titillated.
Well, there is one thing on my bingo card for 2025 that I did not have on there, which was talking about belly buttons on National Belly Button Day.
I know. Are you ready to go against it?
I mean, I guess I'm going to go with the flow because I don't think I'm as into belly buttons as you are. So, we'll get it figured out. This should be interesting.
Yeah. Ask away.
First, are you staying cool over in California? How's the heat out there? Because it's sweltering over here on the East Coast.
Well, the last week or so has been pretty smoldering. Today there's a little bit of wind, and I haven't taken my daily walk yet, but when I do, I will surely feel the breeze.
I hope that it is nice and cool when you go for your walk because it's about 100 degrees here.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not fun. But luckily, I'm inside right now, so I don't have to worry about the heat. So tell me about belly buttons. What's your favorite thing about them?
I just like, the way that they're shaped. I like how naughty they are. They can be, perceived as a private part or a non-private part. I love how, if you're freaky, you could, put your favorite condiment in there and dip your French fries in there. Stuff like that.
So it's like the opposite of doing a body shot. It'd be like a
Exactly.
body dip, I guess.
Exactly. I have a friend who was a bartender. She let me do a body shot on her once, and I had my tongue like deep in her belly button, and like everybody at the bar was like taking pictures of it. I wish I had a copy of that picture.
Oh, this is where we call on our friends on the World Wide Web and we say if anybody can source this picture of Tommy at the bar doing a belly button body shot with his tongue deep in there, please send it. We want to see it.
Yeah, I was like 25, 26 at the time.
I mean, those are the times to do those things,
Yeah, wild times.
right? So, where did this fascination of belly buttons start for you?
When I was 6, there was a new girl at school halfway through the school year named Elvira who came. She was the first girl that was not mean to me. All the girls in my class were mean to me. and we became fast friends. We became besties. She was like a girlfriend, an early girlfriend to me, and we used to play doctor. And she had this cute little outie belly button that she used to let me poke and thump. I know it sounds like kinky shit now, but at the time it was just curious, curiosity and stuff. And she was always the girl that got away. I changed schools. I didn't see her again till junior high and stuff. I think I went to her 10th birthday party because her mom ran into my mom at the supermarket, and she was like, "Come on, bring him over for her birthday," and I went. But we drifted apart, and so whenever I see a belly button, I think of her. And I tried to rekindle things on MySpace like 16 years ago, and by that point she was fucked up on drugs and she was in a loveless marriage and so forth. And so it's always been a personal thing for me on that level.
Well, dang, that is interesting and sad story. I'm sorry to hear that that person is not doing well.
Yeah, I don't even know if she's doing well at the moment and stuff. She has me blocked on social media, which saddens me. I don't know
Oh.
what is up with her.
Well, sometimes you just got to move on,
Yeah.
and it'll be okay. There are worse things in life. All right, so 6 years old, we start out with the belly button. You're curious about it.
Hmm.
Do you prefer innies or outies or what you like to call in betweenies?
I love all kinds. Outies and in-betweenies are sexy and hot. Innies can be sexy and hot, but all three can be bland. It depends on the person and, how tall they are, how wide or not wide they are, I've never been into oval-shaped belly buttons much. Those are kind of bland. But if an outie is thick and it sticks out, I love it. If an innie is round and deep, I love it. Even those flat, like star-shaped ones are sexy to me. I remember I used to hang out with this couple, and I remember his wife showed me hers, and it was like a star, and I was like, "Wow, you got a star! That's so awesome!" You know.
Then do you go around asking random people to see their belly buttons?
It's funny when I was like from teenager to into my 20s. Yeah, I would be at bus stops talking to girls my own age and stuff, and we would get into conversations that were long because the buses would take too long to get there and stuff, and it would usually end with asking to see their belly buttons. And that was the beginning of me using cell phone cameras and stuff. They would let me take pictures and stuff. But no, not anymore. That's kind of a thing you grow out of, especially in a crazy time like this with hashtag me too and all that stuff and all that weirdness. So no, I wouldn't do that nowadays and stuff. Plus everybody our age is married. you know
I mean, for the most part, yeah. I mean, I think like back in the '90s, you probably and even early 2000s, you could probably totally get away with it. But now people would be like, uh, "Sir, I'm calling the cops on you."
exactly. Exactly.
Tell
But
him to start a rap sheet for you on belly buttons. What
yeah.
were you arrested for, sir? I asked a girl for a picture of her belly button.
Yeah, well, it's funny. These girls, they were like, freaky, underground, sometimes gothy. Those are the most open-minded ones that don't mind that kind of stuff. But the ones who didn't mind it, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But like those ones, yeah, those ones were the cool ones.
So, what is it about the belly button specifically that really draws you in? Like, what makes it like the focal point for you on somebody's body?
It's where we begin, where we're born. It's a middle ground between being a private part and non-private part, as I said before. That's why TV networks wouldn't show them back in the day. They thought that they were an enticement for the breast and vagina. So I guess, the looks of them and how we came to be with them is what draws me in.
Okay. So, I know we talked about innies and outies. What classifies an in betweenie for you? Like, what makes it an in betweenie for you?
Like, it's like it looks like an innie, but you can actually see a little bit of the button, like sticking a little bit like off to the side or something. It's like that's what an in-betweeny is. It's like deep like an innie, but you can see like a little bit of the button. That's what an in-betweeny is.
All right. I just want to, make sure I got all the information. What is your favorite belly button memory? Whether it's childhood, adult.
Okay, my mom had a coworker that lived with us. And my mom was always taking in coworkers who just got to town and needed a place to live. They took advantage of her a lot, but that's a whole other story. And she had this one coworker, and I remember one time she like was sleeping, and like I got to see her belly button as her shirt was up while she was laying down, and she like fell asleep. The lights were on. And like she had an Audi, and like I started thumping it like I used to do with Elvira, and it woke her up. And she told me
God.
she told me if I was like 11 at the time. She told me if I stopped doing that, she'll let me rub her feet, which she knew. I told her that I liked her feet, and stuff. It never happened, but that was like the bribe to get me to stop doing that. And I found her. I know it's a creepy thing to say to a kid, but I found her like 13 years ago on Facebook, and she totally remembered that, and she told me that like after she had a kid, the Audi was gone, so now it was a deep innie. And like we were like talking on Facebook for months, and then I got blocked by her. I guess her husband like found our messages or something. But that
I
is
mean, that's a little odd for a husband to come across some messages about a belly button incident from, years earlier.
Oh, there was a lot more than that. We were just like cursing like sailors and having locker room talk in Messenger and stuff. But yeah, that was a favorite memory from childhood.
All right. So we're going to get into who are your favorite celebrity belly buttons.
Ah, I've been looking forward
Does
to
this
this.
roster change? Or is this like set in stone? Like these are always your top belly buttons or your, favorite belly buttons? Or does it like you see a new belly button and you kick somebody off the list?
That's interesting. I mean, I've seen certain celebrity belly buttons over the years change because, they developed, cellulite, or they got older or what have you and stuff. But, like, here's some set in stone. Like, Madonna. I mean, she's got a cute innie outie kind of in between one. I mean, look at that Lucky Star video. I mean, it's a classic, and it became synonymous by that video. She kind of ruined it during the bedtime story era when she pierced it. I remember she did like a MTV special where she showed it to the camera because it had just been pierced, and it didn't look as sexy as it used to pierced, in my opinion.
So I
Um,
take it you're not a fan of pierced belly buttons then.
I do like them, but they have to look good, and just hers did not look good pierced because it was already sexy, is what I'm saying. Um,
Fair.
Raquel Welch had a sexy Audi. You could see in those early movies she did, like 1 Million Years BC and Fotham and Bedazzled. Every year when I do the National Belly Button Month post on social media, I always post a picture of her. I did last night, a black and white one of her. That one was
Oh yeah,
sexy.
I saw that.
Yeah, that one is sexy. I even know some guys who thought it was sexy. Nicole Eggert has a wonderful Audi. It's funny, I wanted to bring it up to her during our interview, but I couldn't figure out a way to get there. I mean, we talked about her Baywatch co-star having a swimsuit fetish, and I mentioned my belly button fetish, but I couldn't figure out how to get there. So I'm going to try to get her back on for a nerd out in the future, because
Oh, that's cool.
I heard she loves TV, and she's like a TV junkie going back to childhood. So maybe I can get her to do it, and then maybe it'll come up at some point. Um,
Well, Nicole, if you're listening, Tommy wants you back, and he wants to tell you that you have an amazing belly button.
yeah. Katie Barberi, who played Tangerine in the Garbage Pail Kids movie, who's a close friend of Katie's, she has a sexy one, and she knows I love it. She's always posting herself in bikinis to torture me. Always, always.
That,
Tony Braxton back in the day had a sexy Audi. I remember seeing it on VH1, and I was like, wow. And I was like 13 at the time and stuff. Barbara Luna, who was one of the first women to show her belly button on TV on the classic Star Trek episode, I met her at the Hollywood show earlier this month, and I got to touch it.
Oh my goodness, that must have been quite an experience for you.
Yes, because if you look at pictures that she takes with men at these autograph shows, she likes to get in front of the man and have the guys put their hands on her waist, right? And she let me put my
What
finger right
style pose?
on it. She let me put my finger right on it, and she put her hand over my hand. But if you look at our faces, it says it all.
I saw those posts, but I did not pay attention to that, so I'm going to go back and look.
Yeah, I am just like, I cannot believe this is happening. And she gave me a free autograph, and she's always been very supportive of me, and she's even connected me with a few people that she's known, for 60 years that do these shows and stuff. So, I felt very blessed.
Yeah, absolutely. Who else is on your list?
God, so many, but those are like my main ones.
What about weirdest and or ugliest belly buttons, celebrity or just normal people that you've met?
Oh, if you remember back to my Susan Cowsill interview, I brought up John Stamos' belly button as being pretty weird. It is. It's like the umbilical cord was cut halfway, and it looks so gross. He shows it off on talk shows all the time. It's like he's got so much money. Why doesn't he get it fixed? I mean, there's a lot of like female pop divas that got their belly button fixed, from having outies to innies.
Oh, yeah, he does have a weird belly button. I've never noticed that before.
Yeah, did you Google it?
I did. That is crazy.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think, from what I was reading about belly buttons,
Hmm.
who, again, my bingo card did not have that on it this year, they say the way that they cut your umbilical cord really has nothing to do with how it heals. It's just your first scar that you ever get as a human being.
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on the way it's cut, and I think it depends on the luck of the draw. Sometimes it's genetics. I think there's family members that have outies or innies as well, and stuff. Another one, Patricia Heaton. If you Google hers, she has a pretty weird one too.
Okay, let's look at Patricia Heaton. Everybody loves Raymond, correct?
Right.
Let's see if it pulls it up. I mean, it pulled up John Stamos's, so it should pull up her. Oh, yeah. It doesn't even look like she has one.
Yeah. Well, there's certain celebrities that allegedly didn't have one because of something that happened to them when they were born. Allegedly, Alfred Hitchcock was one, and Paul Lynn. And it's funny, I interviewed Paul Lynn's like pen pal bestie that wrote a book about him, and I asked her if that was true. She's like, I have no idea. I never saw him without his shirt, but he most likely he most likely either didn't have one or did, but she didn't know.
Interesting. Yeah, it looks like Patricia got a tummy tuck and they didn't put a belly button back there.
Okay, a tummy tuck. That makes sense.
That's the only thing I can think of. I do know when you go get a tummy tuck, they basically remove the skin from like just above your belly button all the way down and then staple it back to your, pubic area, and then they have to make you a whole new belly button,
Yeah,
which that's
my mom wanted
miserable.
one. My mom wanted one for years, and she's had numerous surgeries on her stomach. She's had like, pre stomach cancer tumors and stuff removed over the years and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, no, ma, you don't want to have any more of those because she's got all this plastic in her.
Oh goodness. Well, hopefully she's doing okay now.
Stomach wise, yeah, she's fine, but she's recovering from yet another fall. Hopefully, she won't have any more falls after this. I hope to God.
Yeah, I'll keep my fingers crossed for you guys because I'm sure it's not fun.
Thank you.
All right, so back to belly buttons. Have you ever dated anybody that you thought had a perfect belly button?
Yes, my ex dominatrix girlfriend Jackie. She had an Audi that was so sexy and adorable. It's funny. All my girlfriends have been plus size, but she was like 5'2", weighed 80 pounds, and she just had the most adorable Audi that she let me play with and stuff. So yeah, my ex dominatrix girlfriend is definitely the one with the perfect Audi.
All right. And then, are you a member of any groups, whether it be like Facebook, Reddit, Instagram, that concentrate on the belly button?
I used to be on so many Facebook groups about belly buttons, but I left all of them in the last few years because I noticed a lot of the girls who were posting pictures, they were posting, their full bodies and faces as well, and they looked underage, and that made me extremely uncomfortable. So I left all those groups.
That's probably smart. Good job.
Yeah, and there's some weird fucking guys on those groups too. Uh, there was there was this one guy. There was this one guy. Like he wanted to come on my podcast at a certain time, and we were going to do it, and just he was like super weird. He was saying, can I jerk off during our conversation if I get too aroused? And I was just like, okay, we're not going to do this.
That's so weird. Who says that?
Yeah, exactly,
This is what OnlyFans.
exactly.
Oh man, there are really some weird people out in this world for sure.
Yeah.
Um, what about writing a book about belly buttons? Have you ever thought about that?
Well, I would love to write a book because I know about the history of belly buttons in film and television. I can tell you, any episodic television episode that has either belly buttons or references to them, and stuff. That would be a long project for me to gather, but that's something I would consider in the future. I don't know if I would necessarily get cooperation from many people. Yeah, I may get some cooperation from like TV studios who will let me like use like images from episodes and stuff, right? Because I found out that there's this like legal loophole for people who write books about television where like they can ask permission to use the pictures from the TV shows and stuff, but they don't have to because once it's out there, But like if they want to like profit something regarding the show that's a little bit deeper, i.e., characters from the show or something, that shit they have to go through like hundreds of legal channels and stuff. But for like, yeah, pictures, that wouldn't be a big deal. But that's something I would consider doing in the future, writing a book about the history of belly buttons in film and television.
Well, Amazon has a self-publishing side, so that could totally be in your future.
I know I gotta get back to writing my memoir. Like last couple of summers, I'm like I'm gonna do it this summer, and then I get busy with the podcast. That's what I'm going through right now and shit. I was gonna take some time off and get back to the book, but there's not enough time. There's only so much time in the days.
I feel that 100%. And the time just seems to be getting faster and faster, I feel like.
Yes.
What does your family think about your belly button obsession, Tommy?
They think it's weird, but it doesn't get brought up a lot. They get it. I remember when I was 7, my Aunt Ruthie, we went to go visit her. Um, Me, my mom, my brother, I think my nana came with us. I can't remember. And I remember like she's barbecuing hot dogs. I'm like getting a hot dog with mustard, and she's like giving me a napkin and saying, here's a napkin so it doesn't drip down your belly button. And then like I got into an argument with my brother at some point, and I don't know. I don't know. For some reason, I said to my Aunt Ruthie, "Oh, you don't know anything about me because you only see me once a year or something." And she's like, "I know you are obsessed with belly buttons. Every time I turn around, you're just obsessed with them. I see you like close to the TV. If Madonna or whoever is showing
You're
hers
just so
on TV,
staring.
yeah." And then just a couple of years ago, we're talking on the phone, and I telling her about some woman that I met that I had a crush on in my apartment, and she's like, "Does she have a nice belly button?"
That's funny.
Yeah.
Somebody's got jokes. That's good.
Exactly.
So I did write down some facts about belly buttons. Let's see how many of these you know.
Okay.
So belly buttons are scars.
Right.
Did you know that?
I did know it.
Not everyone has one.
Yep.
All mammals have them. Belly buttons contain a diverse community of microbes, some which are unique to that individual. So your belly button gunk is different than my belly button gunk. Only 10% of people have outies. And belly buttons are like fingerprints. No two are the same.
Wow, it's funny. Since I've started the podcast, I have met more outies than I ever have in my non-podcasting life. Going back 30 years. Like it's so crazy how many actresses have outies.
That is funny. I always forget that you do ask people if they have an innie or an outie.
Right. So I
And
always
then, do you know what the fear of the belly button is called?
the fear of the belly button. No, I don't know what that is.
So if you have a fear of belly buttons, you have something called, and I could possibly be pronouncing this incorrectly,
Mm-hmm.
omphalophobia. So it's spelled omphalophobia.
I think I heard that term. I think I heard that term once. Yeah, there's a sex educator I know. She has a huge fear of belly buttons, and she knows I love them. And she actually did an episode of her podcast where she talked about it. And I know she was doing it because she knew I was going to listen to it. And then she sent me a DM on Facebook saying, "Did you happen to hear this week's show?" And I said to her, her and I are friends. I can say this to her. I said, "I did, you cunt."
Oh my god. Well, not everybody's as big of a fan of the belly button as you are, but I'm sure there are plenty of like-minded people in this world that also enjoy the belly button. I don't really have a particular affinity to them. I mean, they're fine, but I definitely do not have the obsession on the belly button that you do.
Well, that brings me to the two questions I have for you. Have
All right, what you got?
Have you ever dated a guy with an Audi?
I have not. Everybody that I've dated has had an innie.
I went on a date once, and this girl told me if I had a doorknob Audi, it was a deal breaker. And I showed it to her, and she was like, "Thank God." And
That's so funny.
we didn't go out again after that, though. She didn't see a spark with me. I mean, I would have loved to have gone on a second or third date with her, but yeah, that's what she said. And then,
Well,
go ahead.
I was just saying, it happens. Sometimes there's not always a connection, and
Right.
I think it's the best thing to do to tell the person up front than string it out for, 2, 3, 4 dates. I mean, I could see giving it a second date just to kind of see if maybe even there's a friendship there.
Yeah, she did say it in
drag
email.
them
She
out.
said in email. She said, I'd rather be just friends with you." I never saw her again or talked to her again after that.
She sent you an email? She didn't even call you or tell
No,
you in person?
just an
Well,
email.
that's rude.
Oh well. If that
Yeah.
happened now, I wouldn't. I would rather her tell me on the phone. And I did get breakups over the phone, But yeah, I was just like whatever. We were young. And
Yeah, that's true.
is it true that when a woman has her period, her belly button gets tender?
That is a good question. I have never experienced that, but I would imagine that it is a possibility just because all those parts for our lady bits are not far from the belly button. So yeah, I
Hmm.
mean, I guess if you've had enough cramps, it could definitely make your belly button tender.
Because I have a friend, Clara, who's been on the podcast a few times. She's our age, and she posted a picture of her belly button looking very raw and red a few years ago, and she wrote, "It's that time of the month again. I fucking hate my period." And I was just like, "Wow!" I would have never thought. I mean, I know about the breast getting tender, but like the belly button, I was just like, "Wow!" I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've never heard. I mean, I do have some, girlfriends that do have some pretty severe symptoms during that time of the month, but I personally have never experienced it. But now, next time one of my girlfriends complains, I'm going, "Does your belly button hurt?"
Yeah, that would be a good one.
I'll do some research. I'll do some market research for you and find out.
Yeah. Now I gotta tell you, I can open a water bottle with my belly button, and I used to do
Oh,
it.
that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I used to do it on stage in stand up, and it's funny. I didn't always have access to water bottles, and I always forgot to bring one in. But when I did go up on stage and do it, it would get laughs.
All right. I mean, people have done weirder things on stage, I'm pretty sure. And that to me is not too weird. I feel like that's like one of those like bar or party tricks you can bust out,
Hmm.
like somebody that can twist a bottle open with their eye or their belly button or
Yeah.
whatever.
I tried to teach my god sister Janine to do it when she was 10, but she couldn't get the hang of it because she did have an Audi, and so I have a really deep innie, and so if you have a deep innie, it can work, you know.
That would make sense. I would imagine having an Audi would not you need that crevice in there to get the skin around the top of the bottle cap so you can get it twisted off.
Exactly, exactly. So to wrap this up, I was watching Married to the Mob recently, and I was cracking up at your dad and the other mob guy. They're like on to Matthew Modine. They know he's an FBI guy. And they're like, "Come on, man, have a beer with us." It was so funny.
Yeah, that's when they get down to the hotel in Miami,
Yep.
and he's sitting at the bar. Matthew Modine is, and I think he's talking into his lighter. It's got a microphone in there, and he's communicating with all the folks on the boat
Yeah.
outside at the dock by the hotel. And yeah, Dad comes up with I don't know the other actor's name,
Yeah.
but he's like, "Yeah, Mike Smith from Dubuque, Iowa." I'm like, "Hey, come on, buddy, Paul, come
Yeah.
with us." It is funny. That's one of my favorite movies. That and Quick Change are
Yes.
probably my top two favorite ones that he did, and they're just comedy classics to me.
Yes.
I love them.
Yes. Crime comedy classics.
Yes, agreed. And I think I'm trying to remember. I think Jonathan Demme directed Married to the Mob,
Yes, he
and Dad
did.
had a really good relationship with Jonathan, and um, Jonathan then went on to direct Silence of the Lambs, and that's where
Yep.
Dad got offered the role of Barney, the janitor that cleans up Hannibal Lecter's, area or whatever, and he really wanted to play Buffalo Bill, and Jonathan offered him the janitor role, and
Wow.
Dad said, "I really want Buffalo Bill," and he said, "Well, I already got somebody," and Dad said, "Well, I'll pass on Silence of the Lambs."
Oh,
So
I yeah,
it was,
I love Something Wild. That's my favorite Demi movie.
yeah,
Something Wild is it's so dark, and I just love how naughty it starts out when Melanie Griffith and Jeff Daniels go and have that wild kinky sex in the hotel room, and then the plot starts to unfold, and you don't know what's coming next. I mean, I haven't been able to find anybody from that movie to talk to, but I'm going to try next year for the 40th.
I don't think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh,
Ray Liotta's in it.
yeah, Ray Liotta is the
Oh,
ultimate
cool.
scumbag in that movie.
I mean, he played a scumbag really well.
I know, but this is the one where people knew who he was after he did it. I mean, it was his breakout role, and he is just so scary and so. Oh my God, it's like he was. It's like he really was this guy. I mean, he really is scary in this movie.
I'll have to check it out. I
Yeah.
love a good.
And what's great
A
about
good
Married to the Mob is that Demi cast everyone against type in this movie. Like Charles Napier plays a gay hairdresser. I would have never thought of casting him as a gay hairdresser.
I would agree. He did a fabulous job. I mean, really, I think he did it spot on with the casting. I mean,
Yeah.
there's a couple people that I'm not necessarily fans of as far as their personal lives, but I
Yeah.
mean, Dean Stockwell was amazing.
Yes.
Mercedes Ruehl, Cusack, Nancy Travis. That was like her first real big movie.
I
Um,
I know Mercedes Rule is the only one you can really see as like a mafia wife, but like everybody is just playing against their type. And Stockwell, he got an Oscar nomination for it.
yeah, he was a great actor. He died a couple years ago, didn't he?
Yes, he did. Him and his whole crew is pretty much wiped out. Russ Tamblin's the only one of his crew, and he's like 90. He's barely hanging on. I tried to get him on the podcast recently. I don't think it's going to happen.
Oh, that's a bummer. Yeah, Oliver Platt's in there. He's phenomenal. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Michelle, Matthew Modine, Alec Baldwin are all
Yes.
A-listers. I ran into Michelle Pfeiffer years ago when I was working up at the airport, and
Uh.
we weren't ever supposed to say like hi to celebrities when they came in. Like if they interacted with us, it was one thing, but we weren't supposed to just overly go speak to them out of the blue for no reason.
Yeah.
And she had come in. I think this was right when her daughter was getting ready to go off to college. So it was her husband, and their kid coming to look. I think she went to Davidson to go look
Mm-hmm.
at that university up in North Carolina. And I couldn't like go talk to her. And so I went outside and took a break, and I went and called my dad, and I said, "Dad, you'll never guess who was just in our lobby." And he goes, "Who?" I said, "Michelle Pfeiffer." He's like, "Did you say hi?" I said, "No, I'm not supposed to." And he went on about how you should have said hi. You should probably remember me because we used to go to the bar every day after shooting on set and go drink Coronas together.
Love it. I
I
love
know.
it.
Hindsight 2020. I wish I had just broken the rules and said something to her, but here we are. I was trying to be a good employee.
No, but you did the right thing because you had that experience, and so you had to bring it up. I totally get it.
Yeah,
So real
for
quick,
sure.
so real quick, tell me about this spooky picture show event on July 12th for the Day of the Dead.
Well, so they are re-releasing the movie in like a limited release through independent picture houses across the United States, and now I think they've just added Canada. I actually just looked at it today,
Mm-hmm.
um, but let me go to the website. So I reposted the one on July because my little brother is actually going up
Matt,
to
yeah.
Salem, Massachusetts to see it with some friends, which is pretty darn cool. They are playing here in the Charlotte, North Carolina area, but I do believe it's not until Halloween, I think, is
Huh.
when they are showing it. But yeah, so they're re-releasing it in just like really independent format through all kinds of theaters throughout the United States. You can go to day40th.com and see if it's playing in your state. I know right now it's kind of all over the place. Not every state has viewings of it. Let's see. So yeah, the Massachusetts one that Matt's going to is the 12th, and that's in Salem, and that's on in July.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have any listed for California yet. But yeah, then I think it's on Halloween. They're doing one here in North Carolina, and then they're also doing Canada throughout the year. There's a couple listed already, but not a ton on there for Canada. But it's
Nice.
kind of cool. I've never seen my dad on the big screen, so Mom and I are gonna get some tickets and go see it. on the big screen. It'll be really cool.
That is so awesome. Yeah, I'm still trying to get Terry on. I sent him a DM last month and he read it, but I didn't hear back. Lori was supposed to do a nerd out with me last week and she had to reschedule for July. She's going to Fire Island and she told me she's going to have some downtime there, so she'll come back on and do it with me. So I'm happy about that.
Oh, good. Well, when Lori comes on, tell her to put a bug in Terry's ear for you. Because I did message him and let him know you were trying to get in touch with him, and he's just the sweetest.
Yes.
And Lori's cool as shit. I love her. You know, she's got a beautiful family, and they're doing really well. And she's got beautiful grandbabies, and you know, she's enjoying life, and I love it. You know.
I do too. Yep. I got a joke for you.
Yeah.
Why did the blonde have a bruised belly button?
Oh gosh. Why does the blonde have a bruised belly button?
Her boyfriend was blonde.
Oh Lord, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I like it.
Thank you, thank you. Rachel, I love you. Thank you so much as always. And I hope
You're welcome.
absolutely, I hope you enjoy your dinner over there. And we'll talk again soon.
All right, Tommy, take it easy.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, there you have it. Rachel Klahr. Oh my God, I think we did the belly button talk justice, didn't we? Oh my God, that was a lot of fun, and we had an absolute blast, and I'm so glad that we could do that today. Well, until next time, this is Tommy Throwback Kovac saying there's no shame in living in the past because the present sucks. Later, dudes. Happy National Bellybutton Day.